Are you taking USC or the Big Ten Conference field? I'll explain.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holton, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube or wherever you want to download your podcast, never forget the show is free, and never forget how much I appreciate your support. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. All right. Which program or group of programs will have the advantage? Will USC and Lincoln Riley dictate how things go with high-scoring games? Or are you going to take the entire field of Big Ten Conference teams who are saying, nope, no, stop, hold up. That's not how we do things around here. Not around these parts. But everyone knows that Iowa and the word offense are synonymous. I'm kidding, right? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Brad Banks, remember him? He was the Heisman runner-up to USC's Carson Palmer. So occasionally, Iowa, they'll put out a tough as nails running back or, develop a wide receiver. But Kirk Ferentz is a guy, their head coach right now, who resents all the attention that USC and Lincoln Riley is getting. And I'm not sure why. Well, I have an idea. I mean, his son was the offensive coordinator. The university is forcing him, the athletic director is forcing him to fire his son. So you're having to kind of drag Kirk Ferentz along, kicking and screaming into the modern age of football where scoring matters. Back in December, when both schools, USC and Iowa, were getting ready for their own bowl games, they weren't playing each other. Coach Ferentz, he didn't name Lincoln Riley or USC football by name, but I think what he said, his remarks, they were pretty clear. He was pointing his finger out west in LA. He said, I'm not really worried about points per game, but what is important is wins per game. I think there's a guy that entered the conference recently that came with widely acclaimed offensive stats and all that. That's usually how those guys become well-known because of whatever they're doing, throwing it, running it, wishbone. But then you'll look a little deeper. So what's this guy's wins per game? I'm not sure where he was going with that. Anyways, there's usually a correlation. People who just throw the ball around, it makes it tougher to win, and it makes it tougher to be good on defense. There's a school out on the West Coast right now that's going to recommit to defense. They gave up 42 points to Tulane 2 years ago in a bowl game at a place where Ronnie Lott played. So now they're going to think about defense, Look, Iowa won the Big Ten West Division in 2023. Why is the guy so bitter? And why is he so hypersensitive about Lincoln Riley and what USC is going to do? Look, I get it. For as big of a joke as USC was on defense last year, and they were, the Hawkeyes were equally, if not more inept offensively. So again, despite Iowa's kicking game being on point, they suck on offense, especially the way the game is played today. However, Ohio State has somewhat of a dynamic offense. They're putting quarterbacks in the league. C.J. Stroud is starting to take over the NFL. Wide receivers, they have no problem there. Running back, same thing. I don't know if dynamic is the right way to describe an Ohio State offense. Maybe balanced is better. They can run and throw the ball equally well. Michigan, the last couple of years, has been a little bit more dynamic on offense. But look, their bread and butter in 2023 was their run game. Penn State will say, yep, we agree. Here, and I'm talking about what Michigan did to Penn State, not that Penn State likes to run the ball more. Penn State tries to be a dynamic offensive, but James Franklin is still their head coach, and he just figures out ways to not have a consistent offense. So here's the thing. Quarterbacks, for the most part, in the Big Ten, they're known as game managers. That's what they're asked to do. Whereas, the former Pac-12, that was more wide open. It was more quarterback friendly. So will USC, and I guess to a lesser extent, UCLA, Washington, Oregon, will they have a bigger influence? In other words, will they force the Big Ten to become more offense-centric? Or, will USC and those aforementioned programs try to become more like the Big Ten stereotype that some of us grew up with? I think what's going to happen is that USC is going to just get bigger and stronger on defense and on the offensive line as well. I know the game has changed a little bit since Pete Carroll was USC's head coach, but back then, USC's offense, it had Norm Chow, dynamic offensive play caller. Then they had Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian calling the offense. They were bringing in great players. They were developing. They were, NFL-style players. So along with the play calling, USC was, back then, they were beating the Buckeyes, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa. I feel pretty good about USC staff right now. The change on the defense should help immediately. They can't go any further down, right? They can't get worse. So they're going to get better. Significantly better. So this is when the player development starts. And look, I'm not just talking about just this season. I'm talking big picture. Will the conference kind of pivot to look more like USC, Oregon, UCLA, Washington, or vice versa? I'm thinking neither. USC just needs to keep getting bigger and playing more physical. Something that they look their most physical presence was in that game against Louisville in the Holiday Bowl. On yesterday's episode of Locked on USC, I discussed the Greg McElroy versus Matt Berry conversation. My everyday listeners, you're saying, yeah, Mark, you talked about that. And it was actually a really good segment. So you should go check out yesterday's episode. This is where the questions that Matt Berry raised kind of come to the surface. Can USC be ready? It's not that USC has to recruit for the Big Ten, which is what a lot of people are saying. Hey, USC needs to start recruiting for the Big Ten. No. When USC was beating the Big Ten back in the Pete Carroll era, and the SEC, and everyone, USC was recruiting for USC in the Pac-12, the Pac-10. They just had bigger players. The same type that they're recruiting now compared to what's been going on before Lincoln Riley arrived. So the focus is, let's get USC back to being recruiting like USC should recruit, the type of player that the NFL wants. Now, does that mean recruiting for the Big Ten Conference? Yeah, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. But as long as USC recruits the type of players they need, which is just bigger and then developing to be bigger and stronger once they're getting to college, they'll be just fine. I don't think there's any Big Ten type of player or SEC type of player. What those two conferences have been doing better than USC has been doing the last 5 to 10 years is recruiting the types of players that USC used to have. And again, we can talk about the whole Clay Helton era, but we're past that now. USC is just trying to catch up. So no, they're not recruiting for the Big Ten. They're recruiting for USC. And, if we want to have the conversation, I think what USC, and again, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, what they're bringing to the conference is going to make the rest of the Big Ten field kind of adjust. You still have to play good defense. At times, you'll have to adjust your offensive game plan if you're playing in certain weather elements. It doesn't happen very often. But other than that, no. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. So I would put my money on USC having a bigger influence on the conference than vice versa. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know. Bring your opinion, but back it up. Just don't say USC sucks and they're going to be 3-3. I don't have time for you. I like having conversations with my viewers and my listeners. Bring some substance. Add something to the conversation. Happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Look, I know everyone loves to sit down on the couch, eat their chips, dip, drink, chips, dip, chicken wings, pizza, whatever. It is literally a football holiday. And I love watching the commercials. I love the whole holiday vibe. Again, and also, I'm still sticking with the 49ers. I hate saying it, but 49ers are going to beat the Chiefs. FanDuel also has a bunch of different ways for you to pick who's going to win Super Bowl 58. And you can do it with the prop bets. If you like to say how many points are going to be scored, check out FanDuel. If you want to say which players are going to score a touchdown, check out FanDuel. They got it for you. And if you're new customers, if you join today, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. That way you can make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You know, on this show, I try and give you a lot of in-depth analysis and hot takes, right? Well, let me give you my hottest take of the day. The best lineup in LA right now is the lineup of auto loans from Logix. They start off at the top with one of my favorites, the proven and dependable new and used vehicle loans. You can count on these guys to give you the lowest rates and save you big time dollars. Next up, they've got an exciting new rookie sensation in their electric vehicle loans team. With super low rates and flexible payment terms, you need to check these guys out. Rounding out their lineup, they've got their auto financing loans and lease buyout loans. With these dudes, you could lower your monthly payments and get on the road to owning your car faster. Look, I know it's a hot take, but right here, seriously, no one can beat the guys at Logix. So visit your local Logix branch right here in LA and the surrounding area and let one of the amazing team members help you. Or just apply online in minutes at logixbanking.com. That's LOGIX banking.com. And Logix is also a proud sponsor of For the Troops. For more information on the upcoming For the Troops Gala, visit www.forthetroops.org/event for more information. USC, literally just a couple days ago, they closed out their 2024 recruiting class. And they did that when they added 3 more players. So the 2024 recruiting cycle, 22 high school, 22 commitments. And the 3 players that signed on the February National Signing Day ceremony, sort of. Defensive lineman, Radumana Bula Balavu, the defensive lineman. This guy was originally committed to Washington. USC was able to flip him. And then you have linebacker Jaden Walker from the state of Michigan. And then cornerback Isaiah Rubin from Los Alamitos High School, local product. Rubin actually announced back in December for USC, but he sent in his paperwork in February. But here's the thing, because everyone already anticipated these signatures. I mean, Bula Balavu, he announced the day before February signing day. Again, I mentioned Isaiah Rubin. He announced back in December. Jaden Walker was, I guess, kind of a surprise, but I've been letting everybody here know on Locked on USC that he was flipping to USC. It's been a well-known secret for a while now. But again, because everyone had anticipated those guys, those signatures, no one really cared that much when the February National Signing Day came and gone. Everyone had already shifted their attention to the 2025 cycle. And now everybody wants to know, how come USC only has one commit so far? 1 week into February, that period just started, and everyone's upset. Well, not everyone, but there's a large chunk of USC recruiting fans that are upset that only Julian Lewis, the star quarterback, is committed to their 2025 class. And they're a little concerned because at any moment, Juju might decommit. Anyways, Juju said recently he is committed to USC. He's taking some trips. He's trying to get this whole thing wrapped up. He just wants to make sure there's nothing else out there better than USC. So until he finds something better, he's a Trojan. Relax. I mean, literally, can you believe this? LSU, they already have 9 commitments for their 2025 class, and we're 1 week into February. Ohio State has 8. Georgia has 5. Clemson and Notre Dame with 11 and 14, respectively. Think about it. Notre Dame, 14 commitments already. Yeah, that's going to change. Those aren't going to all stick. Look, even SMU and UCF, Central Florida, they have 4 commitments apiece. I mean, what, should we fire Lincoln Riley and his staff right now? Should we go get the SMU and UCF staffs? They're obviously doing a better job recruiting, right? I roll. For those of you who are listening or wherever you download your podcast, I just rolled my eyes. So why does USC only have 1 commitment 1 week into February? Let me ask you another question. Who cares? Look, I get it. I really do. I get the perception when the recruits are eager, they want to jump on board and commit and hold a spot for themselves. It kind of paints it, it gives the optics out there that, hey, that's the hot program right now. But here's the thing. Riley's staff last year, they had a ton of commitments and a ton of momentum at end of June, right? Do you remember that? I do. In fact, USC had the number 4 ranked class nationally at the end of June. But when it was time for the recruits to actually kind of get serious, the results looked differently when signing day arrived in December. So my question is, how important are January commitments when the June ones don't even stick? I mean, think about that for a minute. When Alex Grinch was still the defensive coordinator at USC, heading into fall camp 2023, USC had a top 5 recruiting class nationally. Then Alex Grinch, crappy defense, helped USC to a 7-5 season. And all that June momentum, all that buildup, didn't translate itself in December. So to those of you who are concerned, take a deep breath. And remember, signing day is in December. Let's let this new staff, on defense, let them find their groove. Let them develop those relationships that they're coaching at USC now. Let them sell that. From what I understand behind the scenes, they're doing a pretty good job. I talked about their first 2 junior days on a couple of episodes of Locked on USC last week. Go check them out. Listen, before you know it, spring will be here. And then the transfer portal window will be open again. And then USC is going to turn up the heat with their June official visit bashes. That's when you're going to see an influx of the commitments, just like last year. Here's the difference. The key is this year, they need to hold on to them. Just win, right? That's all they got to do. They've got the right people on staff recruiting. Eric Henderson is going to play a big-time role. So, again, all USC has to do this upcoming season, just win. Be a little bit more competitive with NIL. Everything will take care of itself. I'm not concerned about having 1 commitment 1 week into February. If USC only has 1 commitment after spring camp, come back at me. right? I might jump on the back of the concern train, the back. I won't be at the front. Again, I remember what happened last year. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's Friday. You know what that means. Time for the Friday rant. I'm going to stick on the recruiting tangent here. I used to love the old National Letter of Intent Day back when it was in February. One day. To get up early, I would turn on ESPN, have it playing in the background, get my coffee going, have a bagel, kind of get the day started. Remember, West Coast, you had to get up early, 5 a.m. And then, just kind of let the day play out. There was always going to be a few surprises, something to look forward to, right? I mean, as each letter of intent, that kind of came across the fax machine, all of a sudden okay, we got that one. Whew, a little bit of relief. But there was always still a little bit of some anticipation. Even better, there were commitment ceremonies. Remember, as much as I don't like them, you had all those hat games. Remember the hat shell games? I'm going to put it on. No, take it off. Throw the hat. Take it out of the bag. Open up the shirt. All day long, that stuff went on, and sometimes even in the evening. How many of you remember the Deshaun Jackson commitment? Remember USC, Cal, ended up going to Cal. I still want to know where he got those authentic Cal jersey uniforms for his entire family with his names on the back. And remember, that commitment was live on TV. I'm kidding. I'm sure everything was on the up and up. Everything was legit. But back then, all night we used to have all night chat sessions with recruiting friends. We had these chat groups, message boards, stay up all night long, passing along insider information. You have these things going on. My friend's cousin at Boston Market heard that so-and-so he's a lock. Don't worry. Tomorrow, he's sending in his fax. So you had those types of things going on. Or, remember this? Someone would jump on the message board and say, you know what? I think DeAnthony Thomas is going to be an Oregon Duck. And someone would say, how do you know that? No way. He's locked in to be a Trojan. Well, I just saw him at the LAX airport. I was picking up my daughter, and he was all swagged out wearing Duck stuff, including socks. It's a true story. That's how the news broke that DeAnthony Thomas wasn't coming to USC. He was going to Oregon. He was spotted at the airport. But back then, there wasn't any NIL. There wasn't the transfer portal. Players were actually more committed. Well, one, because they had to be. Now they don't have to be. Again, because of the transfer portal. And now they want to get to college sooner. The early signing period has led to the early entries becoming the norm instead of an outlier. Today, when the December signing period opens, programs, their classes, they're basically 90% done. They're filled. So when that February National Signing Day rolls around, there's only a handful of spaces left. And they're not the elite names. There's a couple of them out there. But for the most part, it's just guys filling in holes, plan B guys, because of the transfer portal opened up a spot, that type of stuff. Look, no one cares about February signing day anymore. Or barely cares. Here's my thing. Instead of incentivizing kids to leave high school early, let's teach them again that good things actually happen to those who wait, when you're patient. Let's make February special again so we can leave December to the transfer portal. Because I'll be honest with you, I love recruiting, but I don't love what recruiting has become. And I think some of it has to do with the early signing period. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with the transfer portal. Everybody's trying to get somewhere quicker. Slow down. Enjoy the process a little bit. Smell the roses. You'll get there. This is how I think we get college football to remain a little bit more like college football. Dial it back. Let's save let's break signing day in February. December should be for the transfer portal. Open it up for a few weeks, close it. Let the high school kids have their day on February's National Signing Day in February. Then you have that transfer portal again the end of spring. Having everything going together in December, it's chaos. And it's ruining college football. Maybe not ruining it, but it's sending it on a trajectory that's becoming more and more like the NFL. And I'd like to be able to see that separation in the sand. So, I don't know. That's my Friday rant. That's the end of this show for Locked on USC. I'll be back again next week. Another 5 episodes. That's what we do. And I want all of you guys, I want you to send me in some questions. What can I answer for you? We're going to make that a segment next week. So again, hit me up. You know where to find me on YouTube. And until then, everyone, you know what to do.